Okay, so welcome to today's session. Again, my name is Emma, and today I'm going to take you through the basics of project team and info exchange. So let's begin firstly with info exchange. Info exchange is a key component of Newformer, which enables you to transfer files. Perhaps you've encountered the file size limitation issues when trying to send large files via email. Maybe you've had team members claim they never received the files that you've sent. Info exchange is going to eliminate all sorts of communication problems just like these. So using info exchange is going to allow you to collaborate internally within your company and externally with team members from other companies. This means that no matter where your team's located, whether they're out on site or working remotely, they'll be able to access your project information. You can collaborate with anybody using this simple and secure process, whether they're Newformer customers or not. So the success of this method depends on controlling the flow of all this information, which enables you to track your file transfer within that associated project. To give you an indication of how this works, this diagram shows the technical setup for info exchange. So Newformer consists of two additional server components, the Newformer Project Center server that sits inside your network and an info exchange server which is located outside your firewall and hosts your info exchange website. So to ensure your file transfer or your file server remains secure, a copy of the files you select to share are posted to your info exchange website where they can then be accessed by external team members. Within the office, you'll use the Info Exchange Activity Center to both send and receive file transfers. This is also where you can access the full audit trail on your transfers, allowing you to track what's coming in and going out of the office, as well as view details such as which files have been downloaded by whom and when. Outside of the office, project information is accessible via the Info Exchange website, enabling both internal and external team members to access and manage project information and collaborate from any web-enabled device. It provides you with a centralized location for your project information accessible by all of your users. So today I'm going to introduce you to the project team. We'll take a look at both sending and receiving files. We'll look at using the info exchange and viewing and marking up some documents online. Any questions on any of that before we get started?
We're all good.
Oh, perfect. All right. Okay, so just before we get into the new stuff for today's session, I just want to briefly review our last session. So I introduced you to the search functionality and I showed you how it can be used to locate project information as an alternative to manually navigating through Windows Explorer. So you'll remember we used the search field in the top right corner here, and in here you can go ahead and type in any generic term, maybe like concrete, hit enter, and that will initiate the search. I then get a full list of all of the files that contain that word concrete, and using the filters at the top of each column, I can go ahead and add in more specific information to refine my lists. So I can come in and say maybe I'm looking for a PDF to reduce my list just to show PDFs. From here, I can then go ahead and double click on any of these files to open them up using the Newformer viewer. And this will enable me to preview those files, as well as provide me with a list of instances so I can locate my search term within those files. From there also, we had a quick look at the markup tools from the viewer tasks. You remember we had the suite of markup tools here, and we marked up a document. I also ran through using the search function to search project emails and their attachments. So if we filter to just show our emails, I can go ahead and select an email to get a preview in the window below. And just like in Outlook, I can go ahead and double click on any of those to open, just as I would with Outlook, double click to open it and action as if I were working straight out of Outlook. So I then took you through a few methods that you can use to file your emails. So we'll flick over to our email client now. The first one was that simple drag and drop into the corresponding project folder that you'll remember. The second option was to use the add-in in the top menu bar here, where I chose to file in project. And the final option was that send and file in project when I'm creating new correspondence. So the last thing that we ran through was the project email activity center. And this is where you can access directly all of those project related emails that have been filed by anybody on that project team. Was there any questions on anything that we went through in our last session?
I've just got a quick one, Emma. If you reply to an email through the new format window, is the reply automatically saved and indexed in the project?
So when you reply to an email from here, you'll still need to use the send and file in project options. So if I go ahead and hit reply, I would still need to select send and file in project for it to be filed back to the project.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anything else? All good. All right, so let's go back to our project home. First up, we'll take a look at the project team. So I'll go ahead and select my project team activity center. Your project team is a unique list of people for each project that includes both internal and external users who are participating on that project. It enables you to assemble and manage a team for each project. You can then go ahead and divide that team into smaller groups, just like we've done here. You can generate project team reports, which would show you the active items and historical activity associated with each team member and other various bits of information. This contact and company information is also directly accessible via the project team's mobile app. So then if you go ahead and add internal and external users to the project team, that gives you the opportunity to provide them with access to that project on the Info Exchange website as well as via the mobile app. So there's a few things that happen there. So what you're looking at here are all the team members that are working on my Alpengrove project. To add a team member, I can simply go over to my task panel here and add team members either from contacts or from company. Selecting contacts is going to bring up the global contact list. So this shows all of the contacts regardless of which project that they've been assigned to. And I can then go ahead and use the filters at the top of each column to go ahead and navigate to find that contact that I want to add. If my contact doesn't exist yet, I can use this Add New button in the bottom left corner. And then I can go ahead and fill out this dialog box to add that contact. This is going to add the contact to the project team as well as to the global contact directory. Alternatively, you do have the option to drag and drop contacts directly from Outlook. So that's another thing that you can do to set those up. I've located my contact here, so I'm going to select Carrie and hit OK. There we go. And I then have some additional details to enter. So the most important thing to note on this dialog here is this allow web access to the project on your Info Exchange server. I'll go ahead and check that box here. That needs to be checked to allow the user to access the project on that Info Exchange website. So this dialog here is telling me there's been one person added to my project team. If the person that you're adding has not been on your Info Exchange before, they'll then receive this second dialog box, which is telling you that the contact has received an email with some login information for Info Exchange as well as an account has been set up for them. So the email that they receive is going to include instructions and a link to log into the website, and then the user can go in and change their password. And that's going to enable them to then log into the website as they need. So that's a few things that happens there. If you do add a contact who's already on a different project team, maybe they already have an Info Exchange account. In that case, they're not going to receive an additional email. They'll just log in as usual and access that project from their existing account. So next, let's take a quick look at a project where I'm actually not part of the project team. So I'm going to use this drop-down menu at the top here to quickly navigate to a different project. In this particular project, you'll notice over on the left, I've got this option to join the project team. So selecting this is going to bring up a dialog box, and it's going to be pre-populated with my contact information, as you can see. If I go over to the project roles and permissions tab, you'll notice that I have this option here to allow web access to this project on your Info Exchange server. So if I check this box, I'm then going to be able to view this project within my Info Exchange website, and it's also going to add me to the project team when I go ahead and hit OK. So when you add yourself to a project team, that project is then also linked to your My Projects list that you'll remember we went through last week, sort of your list of favorites. Basically, when you add yourself to a project team, that project will then automatically be added to your My Projects list and vice versa. So if you add a project to your My Projects list, you're going to automatically be added to that project team. And I did mean to show you one more thing in this dialog before we closed it out. The other thing that I did want to point out under your project roles and permissions tab is this visibility for project data permission set. So I go ahead and check my Info Exchange option there. This here is permission sets that are set up for you guys. When you begin, there'll just be two different permission sets here. There'll be an internal user and an external user. Notice in mine, obviously, there are additional permission sets that have been set up. So your administrators can create these if you need to provide differing levels of access to your Info Exchange. So as my internal user here, I can go ahead and click this View button to the right, and that's going to pull up or give you an outline of what's available or what the permission set enables on the Info Exchange. So this specifically lists all of those activities that are accessible on the website, and also it tells me that in this particular case, most of these are set to show all. Now this is because I'm an internal user, and I'm going to be able to view this information within Project Center. So by default, I'm going to be able to access it on the website as well. If we take a quick look at your external user, in this case, the visibility is set to show only items that the team member is on. So for example, for your project email in this case, an external team member on Info Exchange will only see emails that they've either sent or received. Does that make sense? Any questions on the permission sets there?
No, that's fine.
No? Okay, cool. So I also want to point out in here on your tasks panel that you also have the ability to import project teams. Selecting this is going to enable you to choose a project to import a project team from. So I can go ahead and select which project, and I can then go ahead and import either the entire project team or maybe just a smaller group or specific individuals. And that's a really handy feature that's going to assist you with setting up new projects and your project teams really efficiently. So that's another option that you do have available. Any questions on any of those features that we've been through just now? No?
No, thanks.
All right. So now let's take a look at the Info Exchange Activity Center. So this is your Info Exchange Activity Center right here in your project home. This is where you're going to find all your file transfers are logged. We'll just flick back to our project there. So from here you can transfer files, you can track file transfers, you can access the Info Exchange website. There's a few different things that you can do within this activity center. The first thing that you'll notice here is this drop-down menu, which is going to filter your view. So I can go ahead and select to view all transfers, all incoming, all outgoing. And I can also view all expired transfers. So all file transfers can be assigned an expiry date. And from this log, I can go ahead and repost any expired transfers. So if I go ahead and select one, you'll notice that I get this option over here in my tasks panel that enables me to, this one, repost expired content. So that's going to enable me to repost everything that was a part of that transfer without actually having to recreate that transfer. So that can be a handy little feature there. Next, we'll take a quick look at the outgoing log. So selecting a transfer within your outgoing log here is going to, or with any of the logs, sorry, I apologize, is going to populate the window below with specific information related to that transfer. So here I can view a change log of all the activity or the full history of that transfer. I can see who's downloaded those files and I can see which files I've downloaded and when. So in this instance, I can see Bob's actually downloaded files on 2 different occasions. If I go ahead and double click on this one when he's downloaded 7, I can actually pull up a list of the files that were actually downloaded on that particular occasion. So I can also come in and view any remarks that were part of that transfer. I can see a full list of the files that were transferred, and I can also see any related new format items. To send files, I can come over to my tasks panel and select create file transfer. I then get to choose whether I would like a transmittal accompanying my transfer. And in order to send those files, there's only going to be a few required fields there. So first up, I'll go ahead and select who I want to send those to. I can do that either by typing them in on the fly. They don't have to be part of the project team. Or if I did want to pick somebody from the project team, I can easily pull that up using the to button right here to the left. And it's going to pull up the entire team. I can use my filters again to locate who it is that I want to send that to. Or again, I could choose a complete group if I so wished. I'll need to enter in a subject. So files for review. And perhaps I'd like to put some remarks in. And then under the Associated Files tab here, I can go ahead and click to add files or an entire folder. So I'm going to choose to add files. I can then go ahead and browse out to locate my files that I want to send. And then I can go ahead and hit create and transfer. I then have some additional options to set for the Info Exchange website. So by default, when you first do a transfer, it will probably be selecting only the specified recipients. And that just means that only those recipients will have access to the files that you're transferring. You can always change that to show specified recipients and their fellow company members, as I've got here, or you can enable all project team members to access that. You can also go ahead and choose whether your recipients can download partial contents of what you're sending. And this option right here enables you to configure some settings with regard to when those files will be removed from the Info Exchange. So in this particular case, it's set as 14 days by default. This is an admin setting, but you can easily go ahead and override that by going into the Edit option right here. You can manually configure when you would like those files to expire, and from here you can also configure some reminders as well. These final options down the bottom here, this one right here enables you to force the recipient to log into the Info Exchange website to download the files. So this particular setting may not be required, but it's a really good option for when you're sending sensitive information. And how this works is it just removes the option to download files directly from the email. So in order for the recipient to retrieve the files, they would need to log into the website. And then finally go ahead and hit OK to complete that transfer. Any questions on creating a file transfer there?
Yeah, we've set in the setup, we've set default full windows and reminder setups. So we have set all that up as default settings anyway.
All good? All right, so now that we've sent a file transfer, I'm going to flick over and we'll see what the external user received. So I'm just going to flick over into a different machine. So here I am, I'm logged in as Bob Welder, and this is his inbox here. This is that email that the email notification that was generated by Newformer. You can see it's the files for review that we've just sent off. Now, here it reads, click a link below to access files associated with this transmittal. Basically, I can go ahead and click on any of these individual file listings within that email to download a specific file, or I can go ahead and select download all associated files to download them right from the email as well. Today I do want to show you the Info Exchange website though, so I'm going to go ahead and sign into the Info Exchange. Now, as an external user, I'm going to sign in using my email address and password. And you can see here, I'm taken directly to the file transfer. And from here, I can see any remarks that were part of that transfer. I can come in and download all of those files that were sent. I did have that option for partial download, so I can select all of them, or I can select specific options for what I want to download. And then I'll just go ahead and hit download selected contents. I'll be asked where I want to save those. I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. And that's all I really need to do. It's really, really easy. So when you're sharing that information, it's very easy for your external team members to collaborate with you. The files that I've received here are PDFs, so I'm actually going to be able to view these within the website using the Newformer web viewer. So if I go ahead and select the title there, or the file name, it's then going to open up with the web viewer. And maybe in this particular instance, I've been asked to review this file and I need to provide some comments. So as that loads, you will notice at the top here to the right, I have some navigation tools available to me. I can go ahead and select one of these. I can zoom right in on a particular part of that document. And then maybe I want to add in a cloud. So I've got a little cloud tool here that I can use to highlight something on that particular document. I can add in some text as well. And hit OK. And then I need to save that document and send it back. So there's a few ways that I can do this. The first option is that there's a little floppy disk in your top menu bar there. And so I could save this as a markup session. That's a really efficient option that enables your internal users to view that markup immediately from within Project Center. Or if I wanted to create a copy of what I'm sending, I could use this next option right to the right of the floppy disk to export that PDF, and then I could send it back. So I'm going to go ahead and use that one now. I'm going to export it. I might just change the title here so it's clear. And save that. It's going to ask me where I want to save it, and I'm just going to save it to my desktop so we can locate that. And so now that that's saved, I can close out of my viewer. And back in my Info Exchange website, under my send option, I've got the ability to send files. I'm going to go ahead and select that. Again, there's just a couple of required fields that you need to fill out here. So I'm going to enter in, go ahead and enter in a subject, mark up comments. Now I need to enter in a recipient. Now it's important to note that from your info exchange, or as an external user, you can only send to members that are a part of the project team. So you'll notice that when I select in here, the project team list comes up. I can't just go ahead and enter in any email address there. So I'll go ahead and enter Howard. Maybe I have some remarks. And then I need to go ahead and attach my files. So I can do that either by dragging and dropping those directly into this target right here, or I can go ahead and browse out to locate that file that I want to add. So there's my markup there. And then just simply go ahead and hit Send Files. And that will send those off for you. So also from here, you have the option to view as an external team member a log of all your different file transfers, just as we had within the project center. You can use this filter to come in and view all of those transfers that have been received, all that have been sent, and again you can view those expired transfers. So your external users can come in and view their expired transfers. If they come in and click on any one of those, they can actually send a request that you repost those expired contents of that particular transfer as well. So that can be really handy to enable them to request access to those specific files again. External team members also get access to a change log. So if I just flick back to our log here and we take a look at those that we've sent out. If I go ahead and select on one of these options here, I can view the remarks, I can see which files that were sent, and I can also view a change log. So basically that's going to enable them to view whether the files that have been sent have been received and downloaded, and that would be all listed here in this change log. So that can be a really great benefit for your external users, enabling them to just be aware of what's happening on their end. Was there any questions on the website component at this point? No? All right. So now that we've sent our markup back from the website, we'll flick back to Howard's environment. And just so that we can see the result of Bob's transfer, I'm going to flick into my email here. So just as Bob received an email notifying him that he had files to download, Howard is also going to receive an email. Again, there are links included within the email, so I can come in and I can click to download all the associated files. I could click on that single file. I can sign into the info exchange as an internal user, but as an internal user, I have that additional option of going to view that transfer in New Former Project Center. So I'm going to select this option here. So this link is going to take me into the Info Exchange Activity Center, and it's going to take me right to that file transfer. So here it's listed as a pending incoming transfer. I'm going to need to acknowledge the receipt of that file, and I can do that either by selecting Acknowledge Receipt from the left Tasks panel here, or by simply double-clicking on that file and selecting Acknowledge Receipt. So that action is then going to be recorded in the change log so that Bob will then be able to see on his info exchange that his file or his markup that he's sent has been received. That's quite good. He'll know that he knows now that what he's sent has been received. He doesn't need to follow up. There's a lot more clarity there. If I then wanted to check whether Bob had downloaded the files that I had sent previously, I can go ahead and filter to the outgoing transfers. Here we can see we've got those files for review. Very quickly and easily at a glance, I can see that Bob has downloaded files and that Jeff has not. And as I go ahead and take a look at my change log, I can see that, yes, Bob has downloaded files, but again, he's only partially downloaded those files. So there's a lot of clarity that you'll receive there and be able to view which files and how many files and which files, again, by just double clicking on those changelog history items there. So I also want to point out to you guys that over in the tasks panel, you also have a link that will enable you to access the Info Exchange website right from your activity center. As internal team members, you guys are going to log into the website using your network credentials. So you're not going to use your email address like we did when we were signing in as Bob. So I'll go ahead and enter in my password. Here you can see I've got a list of projects that I've been given Info Exchange access to. I can select any of those projects to then get into the project home. Now, as an internal team member, I can access most of the same information that I can see within Project Center. So if we take a look under my view menu here, I can view file transfers, I can view RFIs, I can view action items. I've got a whole lot of capability available to me from the website. I can also access project email. So let's take a look at that one. Now, from the drop-down menu up the top here, I can go ahead and select all the messages that were sent to me, those sent from me, and I can view all messages. If I go ahead and select an email here, perhaps this one that's got an attachment, I can go ahead and preview that by selecting it right from the log. And I can even preview my markup in this instance as it's a PDF. So any PDF or supported image file attachments, you'll be able to open using the web viewer. And you can do that again simply by clicking on that file name. Again, I can open that up, I can preview, and I can mark that up if I needed. So what's important to note here is that you're not going to have access to your project files. So you're not going to be able to access any files that are sitting on your server, but what you will be able to access are any files that are part of a file transfer. So does that make sense? Was there any questions on that? No? Okay, great. Right, so the next thing I want to run through with you, we'll flick over to email. I want to talk you through a little bit more about the new format add-in here that you can see up in the top menu bar. I introduced you to this in our last session when we looked at filing emails, and I sort of mentioned a little bit about sending and requesting file transfers right from Outlook. So I'm going to just take you through that in a little bit more detail this time. This is just a simple file transfer. So transmittal is not going to be created unless it was set up as a requirement for your project. That's an administration setting and can be configured if you need. Now, the first thing you need to do when sending files is you'll need to select a project, an associated project. So again, select from your drop-down menu there to choose either of your My Projects there, any of those recently worked on projects. And again, you can use the three dots here to browse out if you need to access the full list of projects for your company. So go ahead and select the project that you need to associate that with. What you will notice is that some of these fields have been pre-populated, and these have been pre-populated based on the email that I had selected when I chose to send files. These are able to be overwritten. That's not an issue, but that's just so that you're aware of where that's coming from. It depends on what email that you've got selected. So it's an efficiency feature. Perhaps you're responding to a request to assist in sending a package out or something like that. It's just so that you can have that efficiency gain there. So go ahead and enter who I want to send that to. I'm going to go ahead and send that to Bob again. I'm going to overwrite this subject here, and I'm going to send a current drawing set. Enter in a few remarks. And under the Files to Transfer tab, I'll go ahead and select the files or folder that I want to send. I'm going to send a whole folder at this point. And then in this final tab here under Options, there's a few other things that I can configure. So I can go ahead and select the expiration date. I can configure some reminders that I might like to set up. And again, I can allow recipients to download partial contents and set up that requirement for the recipient to log into the website. And you can see there it will prompt you that that's the one that's for your sensitive information. So all I need to do then is go ahead and hit OK, and that's going to transfer my files out. That's going to enable me to not only send those files without those email limitations, but it's also going to enable me to track that transfer right from my Info Exchange Activity Center in Project Center. So just like any other transfer that you might complete from within Newformer, you're going to be able to track that and any activity on that and see whether Bob's downloaded those files. So it's really simple and a really a handy feature if you're spending a lot of time in Outlook and needing to receive and send files. The request files feature is a really great option to use when someone's trying to send you your large files. So let's take a quick look at that one. This is a good option because it can be used without adding the person to the project team, and you don't have to give them access to the website either. So again, the system has pre-populated some fields for me based on that selected email. So first up, select your project to associate the transfer with. I'm going to overwrite my subject there. In this case, maybe I want to request that this person send me the Revit model, maybe. I'm going to choose to send this again to Bob. Oops. You've got some settings here that you can configure when this is going to expire, whether you want to configure your reminders again. I'll go ahead and add in some remarks. So click on the link below to send the current Revit model. And then I can go ahead and select Request File Transfer. What happens in this instance is that the recipient is going to receive an email containing a link, and that link is going to enable them to upload files to the Info Exchange website. The link is only able to be used once, and the user won't be able to do anything on the website except to send you files. Again, these transfers are able to be tracked in the Info Exchange Activity Center, and they'll be located under the File Requests log. Any questions on sending or requesting files using the add-in?
Is there any size limit on how much you can request?
No. So when you're using your Info Exchange to send or request files, either through your email or through Newformer, it bypasses any of those size limitations. So that's why it's a really great option, because not only can you track everything that's going on with what you're sending and receiving, but you can also send super large files and have no worries about limitations there. Any other questions? All right, cool. So we're almost ready to wrap up. I just want to take you through once more the help resources that are available to you so that you guys know where to look when you have any questions. Again, we have the Common Questions tab over on the left, which will expand to show you common questions that are associated with that particular activity center, and they act as direct links to take you to the question and answer on those particular options there. You have the help website, so by selecting on the blue question mark in the top right hand corner here, this is going to take you by default to the help on the activity center that you're in. This is a super comprehensive and valuable resource for any user. Not only does it have all of that information about each activity center, but it's also going to give you that full learning module there. So you have access to your basic NPC user training. You have those reference guides that are available to you, and video tutorials to help you learn more as you go along and become more familiar. From there also we have access to a customer community. So this is a great resource for any questions and answers, release notes, tips and tricks, industry news. There's a whole wealth of information that's in there. So you can access that right from here. And then finally, if you have any issues, definitely drop us a line, services@newformer.com, and we'll get in touch to assist you. So they're your help resources. Today, as a bit of a summary, we've looked at the project team. We talked about transferring files and tracking those transfers using the Info Exchange Activity Centre and the website. And we had a look at sending and requesting files right from Outlook. Did anybody have any questions on anything that we've been through today or anything Newformer related in general that I can address for you?
I've got one, Emma. It just I've been trying to on some existing jobs we've had. I've created them as Newformer jobs, and I'm trying to make the current document set available on the mobile app, and I seem to be missing a step. Could you just step us through how we do that?
Right. So let's skip over to here. So for your documents to become available on your mobile apps, you actually have to issue them via the Document Control Activity Centre. Were you trying to issue them as a document set, or were you issuing them from here?
Well, the construction guys are about to start, doing a subdivision's about to start, and I want to make all of the current construction documents available on the mobile app. Mm-hmm. So we just need to, do I create a document set, or you have to issue them? You
have to issue those out. So your document control sort of acts like a more formal issue for any of those key deliverables on a project. So when you issue those out, they then become available on the Info Exchange website, as well as they'll get pushed directly to the mobile apps. And that's sort of how Newformer tracks whether they're the most recent issue or not. It sort of uses that as the formal issue. So
in this instance, we haven't created a Newformer document set, so some of them might be issue 4 or whatever, but because we've just started the job, do we have to create a document set and create those issue numbers, or can we just make the documents just all available?
If you just want them to become available on your mobile app, you're always going to have to issue them from document control, and there's a few ways that we could go through that. What you'd want to do is you'd want to have them all as individual PDFs, because that's what enables them to be able to be viewed on the mobile apps. If you need to run through how we set that up, we can take a look at that together if you want. Did you?
Yeah, well, I would. That's one of the first things we need to get sorted.
Right. So you also get with your training, you're going to have a training session on the document control part of your software. I'm not sure when that's scheduled for you guys, so I'll have to look into that. But if it's not within the next sort of immediate future, then what we could do is set up a debrief sort of session with just yourself and run you through just how you can quickly get them up and running for your project that you need now.
Yeah, if you could do that, as long as I can make them available to the guys, and we can start start using it and see how we get reports out and all that type of thing, because I want to test bed it in the next month. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So what I'll do is I'll confirm when your session's planned for, and if it's not in the next few days or so, then I'll get in touch with you and I'll just run you through it one-on-one.
Okay, thanks, Emma.
Okay, no worries. Any other questions?
Okay, I think that's it, Emma. Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks, guys. Hope you found it informative. Do get in touch if you've got any questions, and I'm sure that as you get going on everything, that things will start coming up. So we'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks, Emma.